Yes. As the Colorado Avalanche have been eliminated from the NHL playoffs, as we all know, Avs fans, it's time to start looking forward to this off season and next season, which this is going to be, I guess, part one of a three-part series that I'm doing of keep or walk for the Avalanche free agents. I'm going to decide if the Avalanche should re-sign or let the player walk, in my opinion, on what's best for this franchise right now and also the future with our farm system. Now, the other two parts will be a couple of expansion draft videos on a couple, maybe updating who I think the Avs should protect in the expansion draft, and also a mock draft of who I think the Seattle Kraken will take in the expansion draft, and then also free agents the Avalanche should take. So I hope you're excited for these videos. If you are, make sure to subscribe to the channel, leave a like, and comment. The support is greatly appreciated, and I truly believe that God is putting this video out there for you to see for a reason. And always remember that Jesus is King. He will make your life so much better. Trust me. And it's the greatest thing I've ever done is given my life to Jesus. And, without further ado, let's jump into keep or walk. So I'm going to divide this up into two lists, restricted free agents and unrestricted free agents. Starting with restricted free agents, we got Cale Makar, Connor Timmins, Dennis Gilbert, Adam Werner, Tyson Jost, Kiefer Sherwood, Travis Barron, Ty Lewis, Kyle Burroughs, Jonas Johansson, and Peyton Jones. And unrestricted free agents are Gabriel Landeskog, Philipp Grubauer, Brandon Saad, Pierre-Edouard Bellemare, Devin Dubnyk, Patrik Nemeth, Matt Calvert, Carl Soderberg, TJ Tynan, Sheldon Dries, Mika Salamaki, Mike Vichone. I'm going to be honest, I never heard of that guy in our farm system. Jason Megna, Dan Renouf, and Liam O'Brien. So we're going to start with the restricted free agents. And first up, it's Cale Makar. We obviously are going to resign him, our franchise defenseman, one of, if not the best defenseman in the league, and going into his third full season because he only played in the playoffs for his first year of his contract. So 101 games played with 20 goals, 74 assists, and 94 points with a 29 plus minus. I mean, this is a fairly obvious one. We're 100% going to re-sign Makar to a long-term extension. Next is Connor Timmins, and again, I think we should re-sign him. He played pretty solid throughout the playoffs and this season when he got the opportunities. In 33 games, 0 goals, 7 assists, 7 points, and an 8 on the plus-minus. More of a pure defenseman in my opinion. He does have that offensive skill, but to me, I've seen him I guess I've seen him in the offensive zone. Obviously, with all those assists, setting up Tyson Jost at the end of the season. He's been effective offensively, but he's also been pretty effective defensively. And I do like Connor Timmins, and I do think we should re-sign him. Next up is Dennis Gilbert, and I'm going to have him walk. So first of all the stats you see on the sides are the totals for all the games they played in the NHL, not counting AHL or WCHL or any other leagues. It's just NHL stats. And Dennis Gilbert, if you remember, we got him in the Nikita Zadorov trade. We traded Zadorov and I can't think of his name right now for Dennis Gilbert and Brandon Saad. And in my opinion, we should just let him walk. He's more of an AHL player. In 25 games, he has 1 goal, 2 assists for 3 points, and it's a -8 on the plus-minus. Next is goaltender Adam Werner, and this was kind of a tough one because I do think Adam Werner is going to be a decent goalie in the future, but I do have a plan, so just hear me out when it comes to the goaltenders. So in 2 games played, he played 2 games. He started 1. He has 1 win, 1 loss. He faced 58 shots and allowed 5 goals. And I just do think it's best for him to walk. And we'll get to the goaltenders in a minute. I just do want to point out, though, is keep in mind that we have Justus Annunen coming up through our farm system. So keep that in mind. Next up is Tyson Jost, and we got to re-sign him. he's proved to me that he deserves to be on this team and he can be a good player. At first I was like, I like Tyson, but I don't know if he's going to be here long term. But this past season he has proved that to me. In 262 games, he scored 39 goals, 50 assists for 89 points, and is in 8 on the plus minus. And in my opinion, I do think we need to re-sign him. I think he can be a solid depth center. I do think he can be. He's a good number 3 center, but I do think he can step up into that second center role, especially if someone like Nazem Kadri leaves in the expansion draft or something like that. Next is right winger Kiefer Sherwood, and I'm going to say let him walk. I liked him this season, but I just don't think we need him with Alex Newhook and a bunch of other forwards coming up in our in our farm system, like Sampo Ranta, who played a little bit in the playoffs. But yeah, he played 76 games, 6 goals, 10 assists, 16 points, and was a 2 on the plus minus. But I just think that it's not worth re-signing him. I wouldn't mind if we did, but I feel like he'd be more of that AHL player for us, potentially being brought up and down if need be due to injuries, but more of an AHL player to me. Next is Travis Barron. I'm going to let him walk. He hasn't played in the NHL yet. He was a draft choice from a little bit ago, if I remember correctly. So, yeah, in my opinion, we just got to let him walk. Ty Lewis, I'm gonna have us re-sign. He doesn't have any NHL stats, and if you're wondering, well, why is he wearing an Avs jersey? I believe this is a preseason game, and I looked up his stats on NHL, and there was nothing there. So if I'm wrong here, please forgive me. That's just what the NHL website said. Next is gonna be defenseman Kyle Burroughs. I'm gonna let him walk. He's played 5 games. He has 0 goals, 1 assist for 1 point, and is a 1 on the plus minus. So, in my opinion, with our defensive depth for now and the future, I don't see anywhere where he fits in on this team long term. Next up is Johansson, goaltender, and I'm gonna have us re-sign him, but I want us to move him to the AHL this season. Now, I'll explain this more when more goaltenders come up, but like I said, Justus Annunen is coming up soon, so he'll probably start the season in the AHL, but then he'll eventually move up to the NHL, and I believe he'll be the backup at some point next season. But keep that in mind as we get more into the goaltenders. But yeah, he played 21 games. He started 18. He has 6 wins, 9 losses, and 3 overtime losses. So, not bad, and I think he would thrive in our AHL team, the Colorado Eagles. Next up is goaltender Peyton Jones, and I just don't see any place for him right now with all our goaltenders. No NHL stats, so I'm going to let him walk, with Annunen, Johansson, Grubauer, and then who I have as our backup goaltender. I just don't see any room for him on this team. Also, Francouz is on the team too. Now we're going to unrestricted free agents, and starting off as the captain, Gabriel Landeskog. Obviously, we're going to re-sign him. That's an obvious. In 687 games, 218 goals, 294 assists for 512 points, and was a 50 on the plus minus. I mean, if we don't re-sign him, we're idiots. But we are gonna re-sign him. Yes, it's going to cost a lot of money with him, Makar, and Grubauer, but I do think keeping those 3 players on the team is almost vital to keeping this team in the Stanley Cup contenders category. Like I said, Philipp Grubauer, this is another obvious one. In 214 games, he started 187, 109 wins, 61 losses, and 21 overtime losses. He was solid last year, and he was really carrying our team through the playoffs. Towards the end of the Vegas series, I did see him kind of start to choke it away a little bit, but, we weren't really helping him out a whole lot, so I can't really blame him. And I think he's going to bounce back next season, and I think we're going to get to the Cup next season, I believe. I mean, obviously I'm going to believe as an Avs fan, but I truly do believe that we will make the Cup next year and win it. Next is Brandon Saad, and I really want to re-sign Saad. He was this season, and especially in the playoffs, when everyone looked like they didn't want to win, Saad showed that he wanted to win the Cup. And he scored in almost every game in the playoffs that he played in. I think that leadership and that veteran mentality of him already having 2 cups is really good for this team. And He is getting up there in age, but I do think Saad could be a vital piece to us winning the Cup next year. And 632 games played, he has 184 goals, 187 assists for 371 points, and he is a 52 on the plus-minus. Next is Pierre-Edouard Bellemare. Now, this one to me was kind of a difficult decision. Do we re-sign him or do we let him walk? The reason why I'd let him walk is because of his age, and he's getting up there. But I have us re-signing him probably to a 1-year deal. But he is good on the PK. He will kill off penalties for us, and he's a great leader. Not a huge scoring threat, but I do believe that Bellemare is solid in the leadership aspect and in the PK aspect, because I think that is a huge part of his game, is killing penalties, blocking shots, all that stuff, and a good defensive forward is always good to have. So I have us re-signing him to probably like a 1-2 year deal max, and then I think he's got to go because of his age, unfortunately. I love Bellemare as a player, but just due to his age, he's got to – I don't think he has a whole lot of time left on the Avs. In 507 games, he scored 47 goals, 51 assists for 98 points, and is a 3 on the plus-minus. And now here's where things go full circle. Devan Dubnyk, I have us re-signing, hear me out, to a 1-year deal. Now here's what I think is going to happen to start the season is I have Philipp Grubauer starting and Devan Dubnyk as the backup goaltender. Then down in the AHL, Jonas Johansson and Justus Annunen are going to be the AHL goalies. I would assume probably Annunen would start because they want to try to get him up to the NHL as fast as possible. And I'd say through the start of the season, it's going to be Grubauer and Dubnyk. And then eventually Annunen is going to come and replace Dubnyk and start getting some NHL experience, because I do think Annunen is going to be our future franchise goalie. So I do believe that he will probably make the jump next season, as he's already made the jump to the AHL last season. And this allows us to potentially trade or cut Devan Dubnyk after Annunen makes the jump. If we sign him to a 1-year kind of cheap deal, I mean, it wouldn't be a massive contract to take on, so we could trade him away if need be, or we could cut him if necessary, and I think he provides a solid backup while we wait for Annunen to develop. In 542 games, he started 514. He has 253 wins, 206 losses, and 54 overtime losses. And I think Devan Dubnyk, I do think he could be a value part to this team. I know a lot of Avs fans disagree with me, but I think it would be best for him to be the backup over Johansson and let Annunen develop in the AHL to start the season. Next up, defensive Patrik Nemeth. Let him walk. You guys know I've been calling for almost anyone to replace him. Bowen Byram, Jacob McDonald, if Eric Johnson was healthy. Just kind of a liability, honestly, just how often he turned over the puck in front of our own goal. So, yeah, in 336 games, he has 8 goals, 50 assists, 58 points, and is a 19 plus minus. I think you know how I feel. Let him walk. Next up is right winger Matt Calvert, and this one kind of pains me to do, but I do have us letting Matt Calvert walk. Just with our depth that's coming up through the ranks, I could see us re-signing Calvert. I really could, but just with all the depth and stuff, I do think, and his concussion history and his age, I just do have us letting Matt Calvert walk. And in 566 games, he scored 95 goals, 108 assists for 203 points, and is a negative 23 on the plus minus. Next one is left winger Carl Soderberg. I have us once again letting him walk. We traded him to Arizona a couple seasons ago. Then he signed with Chicago, and then we traded for him for familiarity this playoffs, and I think we're going to cut him. He's getting up there in age, and I don't see the benefit of keeping him around. In 597 games played, he scored 110 goals, 187 assists for 297 points, and is a negative 25 on the plus minus. TJ Tynan, I am going to let him walk. In 19 games played, he scored 0 goals, 1 assist for 1 point, and is a negative 2 on the plus minus. Yeah, for our centers, I really don't. I know obviously it's going to be McKinnon and Jost. If Kadri sticks around, Kadri is going to be there. And then I could see Newhook or Bellemare centering the fourth line. So I don't see Tynan being a vital piece to the Avs in the future. Could he resign to the AHL? Yeah, sure, and I wouldn't be mad at that. But for me, I don't have us resigning TJ Tynan. Next one is Sheldon Dries, and I do have us re-signing him and sending him to the AHL, who can be a flex player, can play in the AHL, but if we need him to jump up to the NHL, we can. And in 48 games played, he has 3 goals, 3 assists for 6 points, and is a -8 on that plus-minus. Next up is Mika Salamaki, and I'm gonna let him walk. I don't think he'd be a bad player to re-sign, but I just don't see us resigning him. In 167 games played, he has 12 goals, 15 assists for 27 points, and is a -2 on the plus-minus. Next one is the center Mike Vichon, and I'm gonna have him walk. In 2 games in the NHL, he's got 0 goals, 0 assists, and is a -1 on the plus-minus. Maybe it's not fair to judge him because he hasn't gotten a whole lot of opportunities, but in my opinion, from what I've seen and the small amount of research I've done, probably more of an AHL player. And right winger, I have us re-signing Jason Magna to the AHL. And in 128 games played, he has 10 goals, 12 assists, and 22 points. And it's a -5 on the plus-minus. And once again, more of a player that can help with both in the AHL and the NHL if need be due to injuries. Next is defenseman Dan Renouf, and I have letting him walk. And in 19 games played, no goals, 3 assists, 3 points is a -1 on the plus-minus. Like I said, I like our defensive depth right now. I like the blue line, so I don't see him sticking around on the team. Next one is Liam O'Brien, and I have us re-signing him to the AHL. In 29 games played, he has 1 goal, 4 assists for 5 points, and is a 5 on the plus-minus. And I like Liam O'Brien. Once again, another flex player, in my opinion, that could play in the AHL. And also, if we need some depth due to injuries, he'll step up. But yeah, thank you for watching. Those are all the free agents. Let me know if you agreed or disagreed with any of my picks and why in the comments. Thank you so much for watching. Jesus is King, and I'll catch you next time. Peace out.